Hey everyone, welcome to Daily Revelations. So today is our last day with a video with Ruth 4. We got a couple more days in the study through the weekend. You're going to dive into those. Today you looked at God. Now there's 2 mentions of God. I think you may have missed something. It's not a lot, but I want you to go back and compare what you learned about God from this chapter to chapter 3 and chapter 2 and chapter 1, because you marked God in all of those, and go through the list and just see God's continuing mercies, grace, and his plan. That's what we're going to talk about today in the video. Nobody's left out. Probably when you read the Bible, you hate when you get to those points where it says, and now here's the generations. And this is what it lists out at the end of Ruth 4. There was Perez, and then from Perez was born Hezron, and from Hezron came Ram and Amminadab, and I'm probably pronouncing all of these really wrong, but Nahshon, and then Salmon, and then Boaz, and then Obed, which Boaz was in the story of Ruth, and Obed then ends up being Ruth and Boaz's son, and then comes Jesse, and then David. So these lineages are put in the Bible, for reasons to track the covenant of God. God's covenant originally with Abraham, and then on to Isaac and Jacob and the tribe of Israel of Judah, specifically, like we talked about yesterday, was to give them the promised seed, which ended up being Jesus. This was a way for them to track that and not lose sight of it. So when you come to those lists, don't feel like you really need to read through them. Maybe go back and look at a reference and see the importance of them. There's names there for a reason. And think of it from the other side. What if I was one of those people that you're going, who in the heck was Ram? Or Ram's wife, to be even more obscure. But they had a purpose within God's plan. And that's what I want to talk about today. Is sometimes we feel like our life is just so insignificant. Why am I here? What am I doing? What is life about? When we tend to look at our lives in the framework of what the world says is important and what we need to attain or be in order to have some significance in this life, we lose sight of our original design. Our original design is to be part of God's big plan. And however we are made and equipped and gifted to be part of that plan is where our significance is. And we tend to lose that when we go outside and try to frame it within the framework of being significant in this world. And it's within God's plan that we actually find significance. I've been reading this book by Philip Yancey, Vanishing Grace. Really, really good. Because it talks about just how, as Christians, we aren't being gracious. And shame on us. Because we have good news that we're muddying up with our opinions and trying to push it down other people's throats and making it not so good news. Yet it is the best news ever. And so anyways, highly recommend the book. But within it, Philip Yancey says, we are all searching for significance. Here is how to succeed. The media proclaims that we need whiter teeth, we need a swimsuit figure, and a diversified portfolio. And if we can't measure up, at least we can watch our idols, remember that word, on large HD 3D television screens and find vicarious pleasure by projecting them and their success into our lives that we can achieve. Well, here's the contrast. We who follow Jesus know of one other hope, the good news he offered. Most astonishingly, he made possible intimacy with the God of the universe that can solve our thirst for significance. To a woman shamed by an embarrassing malady, to the social outcast with leprosy, to a thief hanging on a cross hours from death, to a common prostitute. To all these people and to many more, he held out the bright promise that significance is not something attained, but rather bestowed by a gracious God. We each have a place in that story. In his story, the story that started with the Garden of Eden and creation, and that will finish when God says, my kingdom come, and will go on through eternity with us as part of that story. That's where our significance lies. And when we frame it in that framework, that's when we can give up trying to attain something that we weren't even made for. And it distracts us from that. And yes, maybe in the albums of life and history, your name will not be written anywhere. I don't expect mine to be. But am I doing what God has called me to do? To be part of his plan here now? And can I find peace in it? Can I find rest in it? And joy? Joy for just having and being with God all the time. So I hope that's an encouragement to you. Thanks for joining me on the study with Ruth. We are going to start, I believe, Nehemiah tomorrow. You can tell I wrote this a while ago, and we're coming back. Yes, Nehemiah 1. So I'll see you then. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye, everybody.